The big game of the weekend, Fanta alluded to it. Auburn, Kentucky. Auburn ended up winning 80-71. But of course, the big storyline coming out of that game was that Ty Washington rolled his ankle at a point when Kentucky was up 25-16. At the same time, Jabari Smith was out with foul trouble at that point in the game. So it was just, it's a little disappointing that we didn't get to see Kentucky at full strength have a real shot going at Auburn in that building, in that environment. So, Tia, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What was your biggest takeaway from that game?
Man, does North Carolina miss Walker Kessler? That was my main takeaway because he just fits everything that Carolina needs right now. But I'm an ACC guy. Other than that, I mean, the game lived up to the billing. If you get Ty Washington healthy on a neutral floor, this might be like a 5 overtime game. Like, these are two quality opponents. Calipari, they started out a little slow. We were like, well, they're matchup dependent. They're starting to figure it out. And it's been fun to watch. I still love KD Johnson. Is he the most exciting player in college basketball? And it's not because his skill. It's because he just plays so stinking hard. And like Bruce said, when you name dropped me the other day on Saturday, that fired me up. Like Bruce said, sometimes you can't change who the player is. And I think that's one thing that Bruce does better than just about anybody in the country. You recruit these guys because they're good players. And you don't want to take them in and change who they are. And I'm so happy that he hasn't changed who KD Johnson is, because
his best strength
so
is coaching confidence. You know, he's a better X's and O's coach, and people give him credit for.
Absolutely,
and he finds a way to be able to kind of maximize the strength of his guys. But more than anything else, that dude knows how to coach up a kid's confidence. He knows how to make sure that dude is like, look, you might take a 35-foot step back. That's the worst shot on the planet, but I'm going to let you shoot it again because I've seen you make it before. Like that, nobody coaches up confidence better than Bruce Pearl, Fanta.
Oh, look at Kessler. Sorry, Kessler. Prime example, Kessler. Sorry, go Fanta, go.
Well, one of my takeaways from the Kentucky side of things, and I do think that things go differently in the game because Ty Washington is the centerpiece of the Wildcats. I'm not saying that Kentucky walks out with a win, but we're talking about a 1-possession, 2-possession type of game. But my bigger takeaway with Kentucky is they need their starting 5 to play an A game in order for them to win. Now, their starting 5 is really, really good, but they don't have a bench. Like, when Davion Mintz is your lead bench player, at the end of the day, there are limits to that. Their reserves just didn't do enough. And a guy goes down in Ty Washington, and I have a ton of respect for what Ty Washington's doing, and think that right now when he steps on the floor, you guys talk about confidence. The way that Ty Washington has been playing as of late, he steps on the floor and he automatically believes that he is the best player on said floor, and he has played like it. But in this game, there are 2 things that stand out to me. Number one, Oscar Tshiebwe does it all for Kentucky in the front court. Auburn ain't faced by that because Auburn's got a 2-headed monster of their own. And Walker Kessler took on the challenge, went 8 of 10 from the field, was absolutely fantastic in this game at both attacking and at protecting the cup. And then Jabari Smith just asserts himself. Auburn also has more guard depth than Kentucky. They do. And that's what concerns me with Kentucky big picture in the NCAA tournament. That if Ty Washington is having an off day, which can totally happen. It's college basketball, NCAA tournament. Kentucky, I don't know where they turn, guys. If Cal has to go to his bench, I just don't think it's a good sign. Whereas if Auburn has to go to their reserves, Auburn's in a much better place. The Tigers are number 2 in the country, should be number 1 on this Monday because they have more options. And that, to me, was the difference in this game. And it's being a little harsh to UK because Ty Washington could make the massive difference in this game. But the fact is this. Kentucky does have a depth concern. They do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, T.O. I know you got something to say. I know how fired up you are today.
I am fired up today. I got monster trucking out of the way, so now I'm ready to do some push-ups, get this day going. Look, Davion Mintz, we've talked about it before. He's not going to get it done, especially at the level that Kentucky fans are hoping that Kentucky gets to. Now, what Fanta's saying is absolutely true. That starting 5 is, woo, buddy. I'm a little disappointed that some of these freshmen haven't stepped up and done a little bit more. Damian Collins, like I thought he was going to be better. I really did. And I guess the trust level that Calipari usually has in freshmen for no other reason than he doesn't have a choice because they're all freshmen in a past 10 years, 10 years, whatever it's been. He hasn't been forced to throw those guys out there, and it's kind of hampered their development to where usually they would be starting to like really put it together, right? Does that make sense? Fanta,
yeah,
I got a little quizzical look from Fanta. I got a little nervous in my own words there. That doesn't happen often.
Well, I mean, he's definitely not using the freshman the way that he needs to be using the freshman. I don't mean to cut you off, Fanta, but just really quickly, like, I wonder how much of that is a byproduct of what the recruiting calendar was like for this class of kids.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like these coaches weren't there as often as they were for other classes. Like there were a lot of guys that they only recruited and only scouted and only evaluated. Watch them on video. And it's very different watching somebody on a live stream of a game that happens in a high school gym versus sitting there courtside and be like, oh, wow, yeah, he really is that big. Oh, wow, look at the way that he covers ground. Oh, wow, look at the way that people react when he makes a move. You know, look at how the ball comes out of his hand when he shoots it. Oh, that team they're playing. Yeah, those guys are a bunch of future pros. Whereas, this team, they're playing a bunch of guys that look like they should be playing in the men's league with me and Fanta. So I wonder how much of that is a byproduct of what the recruiting class was, but you're 100% right about the depth issues. Like Kentucky has 7 guys and they rely so much on 2 of them to be great when it comes to Ty Washington and Sheway. But to me, my biggest takeaway from that game was that Kentucky, when they're right, is a top 6 to 8 team in college basketball this year. They're awesome. They can get to a Final Four. They can win a national title. As long as they stop having their backcourt get injured in every single damn good game that they play in. That's really what it comes down to for me. Like, keep these guys healthy. You don't have – it's going to be a problem if those guys aren't playing, but you have guys that are good enough to get you where you want to go.
Can I throw something in there, just not about Kentucky, but about Auburn? I was sitting here thinking about the roster when you talked about the depth of their guards, Fanta, and you guys were alluding to it. Like, he gets a really talented piece or two. They're really talented pieces. And Flanagan's still getting there, I guess, but Jabari Smith is obviously super talented. Kessler's super talented and skilled at 7'1" or whatever the hell he is. But their guards, their best strength is that they play so hard. And that's a skill. And that's a skill that Bruce Pearl recruits better than anybody in the country. Those guys never stop. And you put up with some of their inadequacies, and they cover up some of their inadequacies because they play so hard. And that's why I find Bruce Pearl's team so much fun to watch. If you look back, even back to his Tennessee days, Duke Cruz, 6'7", 230, not overly skilled, super athletic, plays his butt off. Raymar Smith, who ended up getting in some trouble, but same thing, not overly skilled, plays his butt off. That's his MO. Get guys that play stupid hard, and that's a massive skill.
Yep, it is a 100%. Massive skill. And Bruce Pearl was on the field of 68 over the weekend. If you haven't seen the interview, you got to check it out because it's a great watch. Bruce Pearl, you can tell the moment he starts talking about his team, how much he enjoys coaching this team. And he should, because he has everybody on the same page. Talking with Wendell Green Jr. last week, Wendell said there were some discussions that were had with Bruce Pearl about coming in off the bench. And Bruce Pearl said, look, you're going to come in off the bench. This is how this is going to go, but you're going to create a spark for this team, and you would much rather finish the game than start it. And Wendell's taken that on. He's really taken on that whole mantra, that whole attitude. There's not enough players in 2022 that are doing these types of things. They get told that they're going to come in off the bench, and they think, I want the association, I want the league. Look, folks, that's just not how it works. Be the best at your role. Auburn has good role definition. There's no envy with the star talent. There's no, we got to get this guy more touches than the other. They have a free-flowing style. And I think it's the ultimate tribute to who Auburn is that they can have a KD Johnson be a KD Johnson and still have Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler do their thing. So, look, the Tigers are in every way, and Kentucky showed quite a bit. The Kentucky Wildcats can go deep, but I'm still uncertain because of the depth issue. I worry about it when you don't have a go-to option off your bench and you're in March. That concerns me in the big picture of the Wildcats.
Yeah, it's a fair point. The depth issues are going to be something that we talk about all season long with Kentucky. It's just kind of who they are this year.
Wendell Green, I'm sorry, last thing, I promise. Wendell Green, to be able to do that's huge, because I remember my freshman year, we had a starter go down. He had a knee injury. I wanted to start, and like that was a goal of mine. I was like, I want to start some games this year. And DeMonte Stick goes down, tears his meniscus, has like a 2-week surgery, comes back or something. I can't remember exactly the situation. And they ended up bringing a kid, Sam Perry, who hadn't played but like 6 or 7 minutes per game all year. Seldom used, but he was a senior. He brought a defensive edge, and it was a way to get him re-engaged. And in hindsight, that's very obvious to me now because, one, I ain't playing no defense, none. And two, I came in and brought an offensive spark like right away, because if you needed a jolt of energy, I could give that to you with a couple of made shots. Now, for Pearl to bring Wendell Green in and be like, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is why, it means the world, because Oliver Purnell never brought me in and was like, hey, this is why you're effective off the bench. If he had just told me, I'd have been like, hey, yeah, that's fine. We'll do it. But I was never told. So therefore I got pissed off, lack of communication. And like, of course, he doesn't owe me anything. He didn't have to say anything, but It's big of Pearl to be like, this is why you are going to be good for us. And I think that's significant. Like, good on Wendell Green for accepting that role. I couldn't do it. I wasn't smart enough at the time.
At the end of the day, the most important thing is communication, telling people exactly what you want out of them, what you expect out of them, what the role is going to be, and what they have to do to be able to let this group succeed. And that's not just a basketball thing, guys. That's life. You want to have a successful business. You want to have a successful classroom. Anything you want to do successfully, people have to know what is expected of them and what you need to do to be able to make that work.